The idea today is to share a bit about what's happening in automatic milking and some of the main principles that relate to more intensive systems. So I started a bit with the challenges in dairying, and the global trends are happening everywhere, including in Australia. There's every time less dairies, but farms are getting bigger. Cows are producing more milk and therefore requiring much more attention from the welfare and management point of view. It's every time more difficult to attract and retain staff to work on dairy farms. So the question is, how do we face these challenges and address them moving forward? When we look at Australia, the things are pretty similar. Since 1980, we have only remained with a quarter of the dairy farms, but the farms are 3 times larger in size. And this trend continues as we move forward. Farms are predominantly family-based, but almost a third of the farms in Australia don't employ any external labour. And labour is the second cost behind feed, driving the cost of milk production. So managing this is a big challenge moving forward. So the question is, what are farmers thinking as we move forward? And there are millions of options between doing nothing, going to a barn, putting technology, staying in size and multiplying different dairies, but smaller in size. And there will not be a silver bullet that fits everyone. But obviously, pertaining to my talk today, technology and AMS is one of the options. The first concepts of AMS started in the 70s with the early research in the 80s. And in 1992, the first commercial farm was adopted in the Netherlands. 2001, they arrived in Australia. 2006, a large R&D project started in New South Wales. And 2018, the project that I'm involved with started. That is building a training and an extension program for robotic milking in Australia. Today, there's around 30,000 farms operating robotic milking in the world, and only 40 in Australia, with at least another 4 being installed. But numbers, talking to equipment providers, say that there's at least 50 farmers considering the technology, and half of them could take a decision in the next 12 months. So it is a small proportion of the industry, but growing in interest, not only in Australia, but also overseas. For those of you that are not familiar with AMS, what are the 3 key concepts of AMS? The first one is that it's automatic. So there's a robot that replaces all the milking related tasks. So there's no staff required to do all the tasks or routines that are associated with milking. The second one is that it's voluntary. So cows are not required to be fetched and brought to the dairy. Cows move on their own based on incentives from wherever they are to the robot and back. And the third concept, very linked to the 2 above, is that it's distributed. So you don't have discrete milking sessions, either in the morning or in the afternoon. You're milking 24/7 because this system is there 24/7. So then there's different things that come in and challenges that are tailored and suit to these 3 main key concepts. When we drill down to farm systems, there's basically kind of 2 extremes. We can be pasture-based in one extreme. We can go to house systems, either free stalls or loose housing in the other. But obviously in between, there's a range of intensification where these systems can operate. And each one of them has its different challenges. Normally I talk of what's happening on the left. I'll concentrate on what's happening on the right of this diagram, but with different levels of intensification for grazing and for more intensive systems. So when we go with grazing, the main key concept is that we don't have a morning and an afternoon grazing allocation. We tend to divide the farm in 3 areas, and cows traffic from one area to the other. When they go from one area to the other, they have to go through the robot in between and therefore get milked. The question is, how do we start incorporating supplements or more ration in these type of systems? And basically there's 2 ways. If you're going to be offering large volumes of supplementary feed, or you're going to be using that feed allocation as an allocation, one of those 3 areas, you need to cater for a feeding area where cows will consume feed. And if that area has concrete, you need a loafing area, because cows should not be standing on concrete, on what Sarah just mentioned, for 8 or 10 hours per day. So you need to cater for loafing in those type of system. So here you've got the feed pad and a loafing area that is next to it. If you're going to be topping up an allocation or cows are walking through the feed pad on the way to grazing, you can have that feed pad without a loafing area. The two main key concepts here is that the feed pad should be located post-milking, so cows should not be eating concentrate or supplements before milking, because that reduces and slows down the cow traffic through the dairy. And the other advantage of supplementary feeding in AMS is that you don't need a feed pad for 100% of the herd, because you will never have 100% of the herd eating supplements at one time. So we tend to size feed pads to cater for 2 hours of milking. So roughly one robot can do 8 milkings per hour. If you have 2 robots, you have 16 cows per hour. You should cater the feed pad for 32 cows at roughly 75 to 80 centimeters per cow. So that reduces the investment on concrete for the feed pad. The third one is that whenever possible, and this tends to happen in retrofit dairies, you should be able to split the feed pad in 2 kind of different areas, and therefore you can feed 2 different rations on both sides. So you can feed an early and late lactation ration or a cow and a heifer ration on both sides of the feed pad. If we move to barns, there's basically 2 cow traffic options being very general. The first one is what we call free cow traffic, and basically, one step back. The main difference between grazing and a barn is that in grazing we cannot separate the 2 main activities of the cow that are resting and eating. In a barn, we can separate those 2 activities in a different area. So in free cow traffic systems, the cows can move freely between resting, feeding, and milking. So there's nothing dividing any of those 3 areas. And the main driver to get cows to be milked is concentrate offered in the robot. So this is a diagram. Cows move freely from a feeding area to a lying or resting area. This is a compost barn, but it can be a free stall, and then to the robot. The second option, so I would say 3/4 of the system in the world are like this. 1/4 of the systems are what we call guided cow traffic, and there we separate feeding from resting. So we have what we call feed first. So cows are resting, they have to go to eat first, and when they finish eating, to get back to resting, they have to go through the robot. Or we have what we call milk first, that they're resting, they go first to the robot, then they go to feeding, and they can access then the lying areas. But basically you start having an area, this is a free stall, but gates that divide the areas and direct the cows moving throughout the system. There's advantages and disadvantages of both, and we can go into them later. But basically, free cows system, the cows move freely. There's much better from a cow movement point of view, but you've got to fetch more cows because not all of them will visit the robot regularly. Whereas in guided cow traffic system, more cows will visit the robot, but not all of them will have milking permission. When you start designing robot barns, and good to be the last one, you don't have to repeat a lot of what they said, but basically follow the local regulations, the importance of designing resting and feeding areas, and I tap into what Sarah mentioned before. Don't tap into that idea of you don't need beds for all the cows, because at certain times of the day you could have all the cows lying, and therefore you need to have space available for all the cows. A very important one from the automatic milking point of view is the robot access, and ensuring that you have good access to and from the robot to ensure voluntary cow traffic throughout the system. And then the general common ones around water availability, stray voltage, ventilation, and effluent management. But one that I tend to work a lot with farmers that are designing these type of system is the on-farm routines for both cows and staff. Because farmers and service providers are used to having batches of cows together, whereas in AMS, you don't have batches of cows together. So for example, a simple thing, if a cow comes on heat and she visits the robot at 10 o'clock at night, you will probably not be there. Do you want to send her back to the lying area, or do you want to sort her? If a cow comes to get milked and you want to check her, do you want to separate her first and you bring her then to the robot? Where will you keep her while she's being sorted? So all these routines of both staff and cows are completely different in a robotic system compared to a conventional dairy. The second area is around managing an AMS farm and what things are different. The first one is around the flexibility of the tasks and the lifestyle, so you're not tied to set routines. So from labor audits that we've done, it suits much better a normal lifestyle because you do not need to be there at 3 o'clock in the morning because there's something, an equipment doing those tasks then. This does not mean that you are not required to be on the farm. There's still a lot of tasks that need to be done on the farm because you're only replacing the milking related tasks. The second one is that it's incentive based. So managing feed, and feed is the main incentive in these type of system, is key to making the system work. The third one linked to that is that farmers become much more in tune to managing cow behavior and cow welfare, because now all of a sudden you need the cow to do what you were doing and forcing before. So I think that in general we've been used to pushing and shoving and locking up cows for too long. When you start working with these type of systems, you need the cow to be moving along the system. And for the cow to be moving along the system, you need to favor the design and the incentives for the cow to be able to do so. The other one is that you're not seeing 100% of the cows twice a day, so you need to rely on sensors, records, and reports to be alerting you of which cows you need to check, which cows you need to separate, which cows you need to inseminate, because you're not checking all the cows. But it does offer the possibility of managing individual cows, something that is very difficult in conventional dairies. So here it's very easy to milk a cow in early lactation 3 or 4 times a day and to feed a different ration to that cow, something that is not very easy without tapping into more labor in a conventional dairy. But it requires team building around skills, efficiency, and protocols to make this work. The third area is around costing and economics, and there's very little work done in this area. But when we look at what happens overseas, basically there is a reduction in labor potential. Not every farmer captures that reduction in labor. Some people are milking more cows, so they become more labor efficient, but don't reduce the total amount of labor units. Some farmers don't remove the labor units, just do other tasks that were not being paid attention before. We tend to have larger fixed costs, excluding labor, and mainly related to water and electricity. And electricity is probably the main one, because you're not milking kind of off-peak. You have equipment that is operating 24 hours. Having said that, the requirements of energy per hour are less. Because, for example, compared to a conventional milking, you're not required to cool down large amounts of milk quickly. You need to cool down lower volumes of milk, but throughout the whole day. You do not need to wash 12, 14, 20 milking units. You need to wash 2, 3, 4 robots. So the requirements are less, but spread out. You have a higher capital cost, basically around repairs and maintenance and depreciation. And the study says that it can be competitive towards conventional dairies of similar considerations regarding technology. So obviously if you compare a walk-through dairy that has no upgrades with a robot, everything is completely different. But if you're planning a new dairy with all the bells and whistles, it becomes much more cost comparable. And the break-even points are influenced around labor and milk production. And those are the 2 key things, because when you invest in this technology, the cost of the investment is set, the benefits depend on the management. And there's where the big potential gains are. What's happened around this in Australia? We're finishing the data capturing of a 3rd year on on AMS farms. So we capture between 9 and 12 farms every year to understand the Australian situation around economics using Dairybase. But basically from the 2 years of data that we already have, the return on total assets is similar to Victorian DFMP farms, so dairy farm monitor farms, and with a similar range. So for the first year, 0.6% return on total assets, the second year 2.5%, with some farms achieving up to 6% of total returns, and 14 out of the 17 farms in the first 2 years with positive return on total assets. The 2 key things are the management of variable costs, so power, dairy supplies, herd testing, and feed. So with AMS, you potentially do not need to herd test. You still need to herd test from the AVB point of view, but from what's happening on the dairy on your cows, the system tells you for every cow, for every milking, for every quarter, what's happening in the system. The overhead costs are impacted mainly by depreciation and labor, and again tapping into that potential labor savings and labor gains, but that every farmer will capture those labor savings in a different way. And that AMS farms can be profitable, but there is a potential room for improvement on many of these farms, and mainly around labor. Some of the things that are happening, 35% of the AMS farms, so of the 40 farms that are operating in Australia, 35% of them have increased the number of robots since they were originally commissioned. So they may have started with 3, and now they have 4, 5, 6. So they've expanded the size. And 50% of them are considering expanding even further in the next 35 years. And from a survey we did back in 2015, 60% of farmers and 80% of service providers thinks that robotic milking is going to be the 4th technology with higher adoption by 2025, followed by sorting gates, activity meters, milk meters, and milk quality monitors. So what do I recommend to anybody that is either farmer or service provider thinking about AMS? First is take your time and analyze options. I think robotic milking should be an option for every farmer, but that doesn't mean that it's suitable for every farm or every farmer now. But the technology is in a state that it should be considered by every farmer. The reasons behind the adoption and the expectation, so unreasonable expectations tend to lead to failure in adoption. So if the farmer or the service provider believes that technology can do something that the technology is not meant to do, technology adoption will fail or will suffer. So the expectations have to be realistic. The third one is that technology will not solve all your problems. It might even highlight some that you didn't think you had, because you start having numbers around things that are happening on the farm. So it will solve, or it enables solving some of the problems in some areas, but it won't solve all the problems. Fourth, management is absolutely key. So for me, technology is only an enabler that enables the operator to be much more efficient and productive, but it doesn't guarantee those results. Then visit operating farms. You will be surprised, but there's farmers adopting technology of any type without looking at it in operation. So I would invite all the farmers, and today, fortunately, of those 40 farms are spread all throughout Australia. So visit farms that are operating the technology. Then the importance of service and support. Partnership with the equipment provider is absolutely key. So the importance of service and support is absolutely key to success of this. Consult with your team, that is staff and consultants, and then plan, and keep on planning. Because the farmers that we've seen that achieve the best results are the ones that spend more time in the homework phase, planning for it, and then took the decision to invest. So what are we doing within the project? Basically, it's a 3-year project funded by Dairy Australia, the Department of Primary Industries, and De Laval, and it's trying to support the industry around the consideration, awareness, and operation of robotic milking. So Jess Maloney, who's in the audience, myself and a student are trying to generate tools and resources for farmers to consider and operate this technology. We are running regional engagement around different regions, and we are building a training package for both farmers and service providers to be more aware of what does it mean to operate and plan and consider this technology. Some of the key resources that might be of interest to you. One is we have a Facebook page. We release a newsletter 4 times a year that is sent by email. And then we've just launched what we call a community of practice. So it's basically an online platform that taps into experts in this area, both from Australia and overseas. So we have 35 experts in that area, and you can ask all the questions that you feel need answers to that community, and the community as a whole collaborates to address and answer those needs. So we are building resources and testing them with them. So thank you very much.
What is the expected payback period, sort of range? How many years?
That's a very good question, and that's the analysis that we're currently doing. Anecdotally, from farmers, they talk about 7 years.
Where the farmers have increased their number of milking machines, has that come along in conjunction with increase in herd size, or have they just decided that it was more efficient to add more machines?
No, it's most of the times, 100% of the times, been matched with increased herd size. Having said that, so I run a project during 2 years monitoring 19 farms on a monthly basis to understand performance and what was achievable on farm. And we saw that the average farm has 50 cows per robot, and they could increase that by up to 40% from the modeling exercise we did to around 70, 75 cows, just if they are able to manage well the system. This does not mean put 40% more cows in the system. It means you have the potential to increase by up to 40% without putting extra robots. So that for the average farm in Australia that has 4 robots, it means that he could be doing or she could be doing the same with 3 robots. So that cuts the investment cost by a third.